Hi, eighth graders. So we're going to continue in our post-secondary proportions lesson. This is activity 1.2. It is on M2-12 in your textbook. So please follow along with me in your book and complete these problems in your book. We're going to look at graphs now and compare some graphs with ratios that we've been talking about in activity 1.1. So, first thing it tells us is that graphs provide a variety of information about relationships between quantities. Examine the lines graphed on the coordinate plane. What can you determine about the relationships between the quantities by inspecting the graph? So, just what are some things you notice about this graph? What are some connections we can make or relationships we can make? So, pause the video real quick, just jot down a few things that you notice, and then check back with me in the video. So, first thing that I notice is that both of these are lines. They both go through the origin. So, I'm just going to state some of those things. Both graphs are lines that pass through the origin. I'm just going to kind of make a bulleted list here. I also notice the labels on the graph. So the labels on the graph really tell me the relationship between the quantities. So we have students and we have total number of students at a university. So total number of students is X. Students is the Y values. And really what that means, it's called the dependent variable. So students is the dependent variable, meaning it depends on the other variable in this relationship. Total number of students at a university is the independent variable. So the dependent variable depends on the other one. The value of the number of students in this case depends on the total number of students at the university. Whatever group of students we're looking at here depends on the total number of students. We could take it a step further. We could actually find the constant of proportionality for y1, y sub 1, and y sub 2. So if I find some lattice points here, lattice point would be where it crosses right through the intersection of a horizontal grid line and a vertical grid line. For y sub 1, I see a point right there, which is 30 students and 50 total students. So for line y1, the constant of proportionality is 30 over 50, which equals 3/5. For line y sub 2, let's see if we can find one of those lattice points somewhere. I see one right here, actually. So this would be 20 students, 50 total students. So 20 out of this group, and then 50 total students. So for line 2, constant of proportionality is 20 over 50, which equals 2/5. All right. The lines y sub 1 and y sub 2 each represent a proportional relationship. One line represents the proportional relationship between the number of females enrolled and the total number of students. The other line represents the proportional relationship between the number of males enrolled and the total number of students. So now we're moving on to page 13, number 2. Determine which line represents each relationship and explain your reasoning. So which line is the number of females enrolled in a university? Remember, they just told us one of these is females, one of these is males. So let's use what we've previously seen in this lesson about the number of females at this university and the number of males. So go ahead and answer part A and part B on your own. Pause the video and answer those on your own, and then come back for the answer. Well, just let's try to keep it very basic here. I see that y sub 1 is steeper than the line y sub 2. And I also know from our previous activities in this lesson that the number of females was more than the number of males. In fact, the ratio of females and total students is more than the ratio of males and total students. So the number of females, to me, that has to be line y sub 1 because it is steeper than line y sub 2. So the line y1 represents the number of females enrolled in a university. I know this because line y sub 1 is steeper than y sub 2, and the ratio of female students to total number of students is greater than the ratio of male students to total number of students. So likewise, for part B, that means that the number of males enrolled must be y sub 2. So it's kind of the same explanation, but we'll say the line y sub 2 represents the number of males enrolled at a university. I know this because the ratio, or sorry, because because line y sub 2 is less steep as line y sub 1, and the ratio of male students to total number of students is less than the ratio of female students to total number of students. All right, moving on to number 3. It says the ratio of the number of students who enjoy music to the total number of students is slightly more than the ratio of female students to the total number of students. So now we have a new group here. New group of students who enjoy music, and we're comparing that to the total number of students. So new group of students who enjoy music compared to the total number, it says that ratio is slightly more than the ratio of female students to the total number of students. Draw a line on the coordinate plane that might represent the ratio of the number of students who enjoy music to the total number of students. Label this line y sub 3 and then explain. All right, this group of students, the ratio of this group of students to the total is bigger than the ratio of female students. Therefore, the line should be steeper. So when we go to draw a line, it's still going to pass through the origin, because when there's 0 total students, there's also 0 who enjoy music. But it's going to be steeper than y sub 1. So it's going to be above y sub 1. And it said label this y sub 3. So we'll call this one y sub 3. And we'll explain why we did that. So the line y sub 3 should be above line y sub 2 because the ratio of students who enjoy music to total number of students is greater than the ratio of female students to total number of students. Therefore, line y sub 3 is steeper than line y sub 1. Sorry, I said y sub 2 here. Let me fix that. It should be line y1. All right, hope that makes sense. If the ratio is bigger, then that means the line is going to be steeper than the female one. Number 4, the ratio of students who work full-time to total students is less than the ratio of male students to total students. So now we have a fourth group. Ratio of students who work full-time to total students is less than the ratio of male students to total students. Let me put my graph for Y3 on here. So it was somewhere in here, just so we can see everything. Right, there's Y sub 3. I'll label it here. So now we're going to add a fourth one. Draw a line on the coordinate plane that might represent the ratio of students at a university who work full-time to the total number of students. Label this Y4. So what does it tell us about these students who work full-time? It says it's less than the ratio of male students. Remember, Y sub 2 was male students. So if this is less than the ratio of that, then we know it has to be below that line. It's going to be somewhere down here. And we'll label this Y sub 4. And now let's explain why we put it down there. So the line Y4 is below line Y2 because the ratio of students who work full-time to total students is less than the ratio of male students to total students. So the line Y4 is less steep compared to line Y2. So less steep, it's going to be below it. All right, let's wrap this activity up. Of the lines on the coordinate plane, which is the steepest, and how does this relate to the ratios? So let's go back to our graph. The steepest is line Y3, which was the students who enjoy music compared to the total number of students. So let's answer that first part. The steepest line on the graph is line Y3, which represents the students who enjoy music compared to the total number of students. So how does steepness relate to the ratios? You should notice as we went through this activity that the bigger the ratio, the steeper the line. The bigger the ratio, the steeper the line on the graph. So as the ratio increases, or as the ratio gets bigger or smaller, that affects the graph. It affects the steepness of the line. That ratio is our constant of proportionality. So it affects how steep the line is. The bigger that number is, the bigger that ratio is, the steeper the line. The lower it is, the less steep that line gets. So I hope that helps wrap up activity 1.2. We'll move on to activity 1.3 in our next video. Have a great day, everyone.